Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever your current life situation is. Hello, YouTube. This is Jeffrey Kite back again with another episode of Kite's Curiosities. Gonna come back at you today with my finishings up. I don't suspect I'm gonna get any more returns on the Caleb's Cards Junk Wax 6 challenge. Looks like I'm gonna finish with about 16 points, which is far behind the leader, who's got 29 points. But hey, that's all right. No problem. I will not repeat as Junk Wax Challenge champion, but I exceeded the total from last year. I think I got like 11 or 12 out of my 16 card pack. And this year I will have gotten 16 out of what, 30, something like that. It was pretty good. So got half of them back. That ain't bad. It's about par for the course, I reckon. So without any further delay, let's get right on into it. This hen comes out of, is a return from St. Louis, Missouri, and it is a failure. It is of Mr. Howard Poston. Just real quick bio on Mr. Poston. He is deceased, and I sent this card to Ken Schrader, who Howard did a lot of work on the gears, and that's what you see right here. That's a gearbox for a NASCAR engine, NASCAR car there. That's the gearbox. And Howard did a lot of engine work for a lot of teams, but namely, it was Mr. Ken Schrader. And they wrote back with this. Schrader Racing is no longer at the Concord location. For future autograph requests, please mail to KSR, P.O. Box 190, Ditma, Missouri 63023. So I will not get Mr. Howard Poston back, but that is okay. Not too shabby. So if y'all are looking to write Ken Schrader, here it is. KSR, P.O. Box 190, Ditma, Missouri. Oh, trying to focus. 63, I'll just read it to you. 63023. There you go. So Mr. Howard Poston, rest in peace. Did a lot of good work. Nickname was Slick because he knew how to put together some gears. Now he was good at them gears. So we'll put him right up there. We'll honor him. So let's take a look at this next one here. The next one is from Indianapolis, Indiana. And again, I've already opened these. I opened them up long ago. Just made the video about them. This one out of Indianapolis, Indiana is my card of Norman Kashimizu. Now, Norman, he has also passed away, but it was signed by a man, I don't know if you can tell, Gary Nelson. So let me tell you all about Gary Nelson and Norman Kashimizu. Gary, he was a crew chief for Bobby Allison back in the early 80s. In fact, Gary was the crew chief for Bobby Allison's 1982 Daytona 500 win and Bobby Allison's 1983 NASCAR Cup Championship season. Gary, he did a lot of crew chiefing, worked with a lot of different motorsports teams, and kind of got frustrated late in his career. A lot of the business sides of motorsports kind of burned him out. And so he wound up doing some broadcasting. But his passion was safety improvements. And he founded Gary Nelson and Associates, which is the leading safety protocol company for NASCAR. They still employ him. They still use him. And so he still continues to work on car safety and that kind of thing. And I tell you what, he's had a big challenge with this daggum next gen car that they got. I mean, them things was catching on fire last year, and just, I mean, a couple drivers could have got hurt real bad. But he's done a lot of work on that car, and hopefully will continue to do so. But anyway, Gary and Norman were part of that crew for Bobby Allison's 82 Daytona 500 team. And Norman said that was his greatest moment in NASCAR. Norman, he was a gas man and a hauler for Robert Yates Racing. And I think he worked for a couple other teams too. But of all the things that he did in NASCAR, I mean, he was an all-pro hauler driver. He was an all-pro gas man. I mean, he was a tremendous asset to every team that he worked for. And but Norman said the greatest achievement he had in all of NASCAR was being on that pit crew for the 82 Daytona 500 win for Bobby Allison. And very happy to have Gary Nelson sign this card of his friend and send it back to me. So I'm going to put Norman right here. Let's scrunch him in a little bit. And where is Norman on my list? We'll cross off Norman. So we'll get that one. All right. Moving on to this Heenan from Mobile, Alabama. This is from none other than Mr. Hut Strickland. Hut Strickland, he was an okay guy. He was an okay racer. I wouldn't say okay guy. He's an outstanding man, and did okay in racing. His father-in-law is Davey Allison, great NASCAR champion, and the brother of the guy I just talked about, Bobby Allison. But Hut here, he married Donnie Allison's daughter. Hut was an okay driver. I mean, his best year was in 1991. He had like 3 top 5s, 7 top 10 finishes, and he finished 16th in points. He did, for whatever reason, he was always good in the all-star races. He had 9 top 5 finishes in like the No BS race, the Winston Open. I mean, he always did really good in the all-star races. 1993, he finished 4th in the Daytona 500. So, I mean, that's not bad. But I think overall he had like 29 top 10 finishes for his career. I mean, he was a good driver. Drove for a lot of small market teams and kind of mid-level, mid-market teams. His greatest contribution is he's been a great consultant for several up-and-coming drivers, and has really helped them establish themselves on the NASCAR seasons and get into that circuit and have a lot of success. So very happy to get this one back, Mr. Hut Strickland. Now, see Norman, he fell. Let's put Norman back up. There we go. And see, where is Hut Strickland? Right up under Harry Gant and above Joey Knuckles. So that'll be a good one to cross off. Fill that in a little more. There we go. So Hut Strickland. All right, the next one, no postmark. Don't know where it came from or when it came in. And no postmark on that. But it is from Mr. Dick Berggren. Dick Berggren, he was a race car driver himself. He started in 1967, and he did a lot of modified and sprint car racing. Modified cars are those cars with the bigger, wider tires. You might have seen them. They're real wide and they're real big. And then sprint cars, those are like the World of Outlaws. If y'all are big racing fans, but the little, I call them little dune buggies with the fins on top of them. But that's what he did mostly. He did most of that kind of racing. He retired from racing in 1981 after he had a bad wreck and about killed several dozen people. His car hit like an embankment and flipped up into the crowd, and I mean there was about 200 people watching that race in that area, and he about killed a bunch of folks, and that traumatized him, and because he was also a writer for a lot of the racing magazines, and he was like, I've written so much about safety, and here I am almost killing several dozen people. He just hung it up then, and he started announcing. He actually started announcing in 1979. He announced the Daytona 500 on MRN, which is the Motor Racing Network. And when he retired fully from racing, that's when he went on television. And he was on television until 2012, working for, various different broadcast companies and going to different races. He did mostly the East Coast races, like Dover, Daytona, Richmond, those areas around in there. You've also probably might recognize him because he was in a movie, Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. He played himself in that movie. So a very colorful career for Mr. Dick Berggren. Got to get him in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He's in several other motorsport Hall of Fames, but he's not in the big one, not in NASCAR Hall of Fame. So we're going to mark off Mr. Dick Berggren. And then lastly, we have one. Let's see, put that down there. Let's go get my, where's it at? Oh, here it is. Coming out of Greensboro. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Greensboro, there it is. Greensboro, North Carolina, Piedmont Triad area. We got a return from Mr. Mike Joy. Now, Caleb, this card is not on my list. As you can see, I do not have Mike Joy on my list. However, I do have Barney Hall, the late great Barney Hall, who was another NASCAR broadcaster for many years, and Mike Joy was the one that made the comment about Barney on the back of this card, and he signed the back of this Barney Hall card. So first, let me tell you about Mike Joy. Mike Joy, he is the current main Cup Series announcer. Mike has done 44 straight, I believe it's 44 straight Daytona 500s. He's done 7 on MRN, Motor Racing Network. He did 17 Daytona 500s for CBS Sports. That's his little logo shirt right there. 17 broadcasts for CBS. And then he's done 20 on Fox. Now, Mike, he got his start in racing broadcasting by being a public address announcer up there in, I think it's Agawam, Massachusetts, up there at Riverside Parkway. And 2 years later, he started doing announcing and public address speaking over at Thompson Speedway over in Thompson, Connecticut. And then 3 years after that, in 1975, he started doing announcing, public address speaking at Stafford Motor Speedway over in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. So he was all up around New England and New England racing scene, shaking hands and, making contacts and, just showcasing his knowledge and what he's able to do broadcasting-wise. Well, eventually, in 1975, MRN hired him. And he was like a little freelance guy. He just kind of, did whatever he needed to do to break in, get his name in the pot and start doing some broadcasting. And 1983, he moved into the role as pit reporter for CBS. And that's when he got on TV. And then in 1991, he moved into the booth. And that's where he's been ever since. And if you talk to him, and you talk to many others, actually, for that matter, and ask them, who was your greatest inspiration? Who was the man that meant the most to your career? He would tell you it was Mr. Barney Hall. Barney is the one who gave him his start in MRN, recognized his talent, showed him the ropes, kind of guided him in that direction and took him under his wing and really helped Mike maximize his talent. You can see what he said about Barney right here. Barney's flat out the best broadcaster in the business. His knowledge and love for the sport and the friendships he has made come through in every broadcast. He's a true professional. If I had to listen to just one person broadcasting stock car racing, it would be Barney Hall. He's by far the best. And folks, let me tell you something. If you watch a NASCAR Cup race and you hear Mike Joy just bringing knowledge and just excitement and energy to a broadcast, this is where he got it from, Mr. Barney Hall. So very thankful to have Mike Joy. So again, Caleb, I get no points for this. Oops, I didn't turn the camera a little bit. I get no points for this, but I get 1 point for this right here. So let's go ahead and put that in. We'll put Barney Hall right here. Mike Joy. I guess I'll put him on the end with Hutch Strickland there. So I'll take Barney Hall and color him in. And that'll do it. Let's count them up. I think I got 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yep, 16. So that should do it, unless I get any more this year. Y'all tell me what you think. I'm going to pan out a little bit so you can see them all. Mike Joy here and here. Hutch Strickland, Dick Berggren. Howard Poston was returned unsigned. And Mr. Norman Kashimizo card signed by Gary Nelson. Well, tell me what y'all think. And as always, folks, Like, comment, subscribe. Do whatever you want to do. Caleb, I sure have enjoyed it, man. Great season. Great watching everybody on all their pickups. As always, y'all take care now. Have a good one. Bye.